Hello, hello. My name is Jonathan. I am making this video solely out of my respect for the Olshas dev team, because I have been playing CPM for years. My original CPM ID was 27. Meaning I was the 27th player to ever play your game entirely. My second account player ID after that was 8787. And then my current account ID, where do I find that? I can't remember. Account. There you go. There's my account ID. This is my fourth or fifth account. Now, I went to rally mode. This is the car I was driving, was your guys' car that you guys tuned. And it's awful. Absolutely awful. Well, let's see. For one, why won't that stay turned? I don't run ABS, I don't run any assists. I don't need assists. You can already notice from that heavy braking, the suspension is just as stiff as a GT3 race car. Look at that, about 70-80% braking, and the brakes lock up. No car on the planet should do that. None. Shouldn't happen at all. 70 to 80% braking pressure? No. Maybe something heavier, but not 70 to 80%, no.
Left and 6 right.
This all-wheel drive system, this feels very much close to a 55-45 when it should be a 65-35. Because that's what this Subaru would run in real life. You really need to do some research on what you're tuning and how you're tuning it before you tune it. Because otherwise you're just going to screw things up completely to the point that it understeers like a piece of shit. Because you didn't dial in the suspension correctly. And the all-wheel drive is heavier biased on the front than it needs to be, causing a front drag, which creates an understeer effect. This is a heavily known effect on GTRs and Subarus, and almost any other car with a even split or close to even split four-wheel drive bias. Evos, GTRs, Subarus, anything four-wheel drive that's close to a 50-50 split. I'd say anything that's around a 60-40 is where it starts to get that slip. Again, these brakes are just fucked. And you try to pull the handbrake and it turns your camera. Why? Why? I didn't tell you to turn the camera. I clicked the handbrake button, but if you click just ever so lightly off to the side of it, it screws you. Why? It's not necessary at all. There should very much so be a very clear margin between what area you can touch to turn your camera and what area you're touching to control your vehicle. Because otherwise you get fucked like that. How is that my fault? I tried to press the handbrake. I was off by a few millimeters. You turned my camera, refused to press my handbrake, and because of such, I plowed right into the goddamn wall because you didn't pull my handbrake, like I told the car to. Solely because you have it down to like a millimeter area here, where if I'm pressing literally halfway in between, it's giving me a 50-50 split result between pressing my brake pedal and my handbrake. How is that acceptable? How is that acceptable? in any world at all. How is that even remotely acceptable? It's flabbergasting how unacceptable it is and how easy it is to see that it's unacceptable, and it was still put in. It's sickening.
Go, go, go! 2 left and 6 right.
Still locking up.
70.
That was roughly 75%. And I even dropped to 50 and it didn't unlock, which it should have.
30.
Because I reduced brake pressure enough for the tires to start rotating again.
6 right.
I've been driving real world since I was 13. I'm 22.
1 right. 170. 5 left into.
If you want
3 right.
another game creator to look at
130.
for idea
6
of
right
what
into.
things should actually look like,
And
check out Apex Racing. They don't have the manual controls you do, but that is the only thing they really lack.
king
Is
left.
they don't have the manual controls, and it's
6
not a big massive map like
3
this is.
right.
So this has that open world experience, which is very much more beneficial.
Square right
But
into.
Apex Racing, all the physics are there. Nothing's wrong, nothing's broken. The car drives functionably.
7.
You can't have a driving game that the car doesn't drive functionally. It just doesn't work.
6 right. 50.
And it wasn't always this bad either. It just slowly got worse. I don't know if you guys just put different people on the updates from your dev team, and some were better than others, but whoever's working these updates doesn't know what they're doing, at least when it comes to the physics of it. You don't. You fucking don't. I'm sorry, but you don't. And excuse my profound language, but I've been playing for 5 years, like, more than 5 years probably.
50. 6
It's
right.
sad to see that it's this bad when it shouldn't be.
Finish
Back in
quick.
CPM1, you used to be able to drift a car
To the marshals.
controllably.
Nice and slow.
Now if you want to drift a car at all,
Tough one. Too
I
much.
got distracted there.
Time gain.
Now if you want to drift a car at all, you literally have to switch to arrows or you have to play on a controller. So now, this is what's confusing. Why are you expecting us to run the same exact times under night circumstances with little to no vision that you're expecting us to run under daytime circumstances with full vision? Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to any person at all who is involved in motorsports. Because it's wrong. Reduced vision means your time is going to slow down because you cannot accurately perceive what is coming next in front of you. Even if you know the track like the back of your hand, it doesn't matter. It's an entirely different perception. And because of that, how your vehicle handles, how you handle your vehicle is going to be vastly different. You're going to often lean on the more cautious side, and often those who don't will end up having an accident.
Go, go, go. 2 left and 6
And like,
right.
yeah, it's not fully dark, but it's still very much reduced
70.
visibility.
6 right into. 5 left into.
Oh my God.
6
And
right.
this chassis is just so stiff.
30.
Why? Why?
Hairpin left. 30.
Why does it take so long to downshift in automatic mode?
6 right.
I would drive in manual mode, but it does the same camera turning thing if you ever so slightly miss a downshift or an upshift. You missed the button by a millimeter and it turns your camera and then you can't see where you're driving.
3
It's
right.
not effective. It's a piss off. It's bullshit. It's not acceptable.
130.
Especially not in a game like this. What was that understeer?
Stop! We're going backwards on this stage.
Are we? I think we're reversing, but And that's another thing. Your announcer is really annoying. Why can I not turn it off? I don't need your announcer to tell me what to do. I know what to do. Your announcer is just a distraction. It's just an idiot telling me things that aren't actually correct either. The speed readouts he's giving are way, way off by at least 10 kilometers off, which is extremely dangerous for a rally course. You need your speed readouts to be accurate if you're going to be following them.
6 right into 5 left into 6 right 30 hairpin left 30 6 right.
You can see how every bump, it just basically catches air because there is no room for the suspension to move. I'm done. I've shown exactly how pathetic this build is. It's undebatable that that car was tuned like complete garbage to the point that an E60 M5 BMW does better under rally circumstances. In fact, we'll go to off-road area. This is all-wheel drive and supercharged. And there's my power stats. Or wait, no, this is naturally aspirated. It was supercharged. This is one thing that I will give you guys props for. You are the only mobile game to have full manual controls with the gear shift. Why is my camera so off-put? Did you guys reset the cameras with this update? Because my camera was not like that before. Or is it because I uninstalled and reinstalled? That could be it. Again, I will re-mention that the only reason I'm doing this and the only reason I've reinstalled is because I have a great respect for the Olshaas development team and Olshaas community. And CPM is very much so a game in which I feel an attachment to because I've been playing it for so long. It is a nice space under most circumstances. Unfortunately, a lot of the online players are newer players and are often younger players who are often very disrespectful. There's often a lot of hate speech. There's more than a lot of hate speech. It's just all over. Look at this suspension. Look at my brakes. I'm not running ABS. I didn't turn ABS on. And it barely even tries to lock at full brake pressure. That's how bad your development team, the people who are doing the coding or updates, whatever, that's how bad they tune that Subaru. And I'm not having a single problem with suspension over here. It's clearly doing better than the Subaru was. In fact, it hasn't jumped, has it? I haven't seen it give me any issues, and I'm the one driving it, so... Meanwhile, I tuned this car myself. I tuned everything myself, because I know how to do it properly. Your development team who tuned that Subaru, I don't even want to drive the 8.6 that's after that. I don't even want to drive any of the challenge rally missions again, because the car is complete garbage. Why am I forced to use your car? For every other challenge you have ever given us, we've been able to use our own personal vehicles. Now you force us to use a rally car that is tuned so badly that a street-tuned BMW E60 M5, pretty sure I'm on semi-slicks. Maybe, I can't tell. We'll have to check at the end. But either way, even if I'm not, I'm either on semi-slicks or I'm on touring. I'm not on off-road tires. And the performance of this BMW is actually fairly close to the Subaru, but with much better suspension. Which is very odd, considering the Subaru is lighter, shorter wheelbase. It should have a better suspension system for rally, because that's what Subarus are basically built for. And the power output of this E60 feels basically equivalent to the Subaru, but because I'm driving in manual, it's so consistent. If I could not get distracted by my own talking. The suspension of this is clearly better than that Subaru. Even on those jumps, it didn't bounce back like the Subaru was bouncing all over in the unevenness. And I actually want to go to the area that rally course was at. I don't run that area very often, so I'm not very familiar with it. But I will try to run the same course, roughly, that was run with the Subaru in this here E60. And we'll see our comparisons. Now, I believe this is on a 60/40, if I recall. Which is the bias that Subaru should be on. Actually, it should be on a 65/35, because that's what they run in real life. They Subaru specifically runs settings varying from 50/50 to 65/35. And 65/35 is the furthest rear bias variable. It's also the main choice variable for their rally cars, specifically because it gives tail slip while still producing front traction pull, meaning you can slide into the corner and around the corner without losing very much momentum. Extremely efficient on dirt, which is the majority of what rally is on. And that was my fault. That was overspeed. I can't blame the car or the physics for that. That was my fault, I will admit. But I can very clearly see when it is and isn't my fault. It's not very hard to tell. I haven't readjusted my gearing ever since removing my supercharger. So I still have longer gears than what I need. I can tell that this has been updated and it actually does look a lot better than it did before. I tune purely mechanically too. I run torsion diffs. I often leave the front open. I do the full suspension entirely myself. I almost always run an absorbent suspension system because it's beneficial for weight shifting, which is how you turn, by weight shifting. You can't make a corner if the weight is in the wrong place. If all your weight is in the front right, and you're trying to turn left while accelerating and the weight is still at the front right, you're in some trouble. That'll be some heavy understeer for sure. This was definitely updated, and it does look better, but it is a little bit confusing, but once you get used to it, I'm sure it would make sense. And it already kind of does when I look at it on the map. That is nice. Good job on that. Is that the road off to my left there? I think it is. How do I get onto it? Also, I am not trying to change lanes or anything right now. I'm trying to go straight. But the slightest turn of your device, look, controls, steering sensitivity is at 0. Absolutely 0. Okay? neutral. This is if I put my phone on a level surface. Okay? Now I'm going to put a pencil underneath the left corner of my phone. And we are turning right by a decent amount. It would be much easier to see if that's a pencil. That's a pencil. This is an HB2 pencil. Do you really think that degree should be there? Going from literally just a few centimeters? Like, that's like 3 degrees at least. Which means when I turn my phone a millimeter, I'm practically lane changing. I am lane changing. I turned my phone less than 45 degrees to the right for that turn. Maybe even less than 30 degrees. This does appear to be the road. I think. Except I might have missed it. Another thing I've noticed is this gear shift select can sometimes be picky. That's the turnoff right there, isn't it? No. It doesn't feel like it. Got me a bit confused on this. But whatever. Or maybe I was on the wrong road. Maybe it's this road. Again, I'm not very familiar with this area. Yep, this is the road. There's the windmills. That's a good land marker that I completely forgot about because I have short-term memory loss. I'm confused about how... Oh. Hang on, I know how it went now. Wait, do I? Because you come out here... And then you basically went through here onto this road somehow. I don't know how you guys did that circuit. Wow. Almost a full... I entered at 60 and dropped to 56. You can go back and watch it. Whereas that Subaru, if I entered at so much as 50, I was struggling with understeer. Do you understand how pathetic that is? This is a BMW E60 M5. This car is almost 3,000 kilograms, not pounds. Probably over 3,000 pounds. And it most definitely should, with a V10 engine, most definitely should have a higher torque load than the Subaru. That was also my fault from overspeed. It's kind of difficult to remember the course with nothing marking it. And this handbrake is most definitely more efficient than when I pulled the handbrake in the Subaru. When I pulled the handbrake in the Subaru, it felt like it was refusing to lock the rear axle, or like it was trying to lock both the rear axle and the front axle at the same time. And if you want to explain to me how that works, I am more than open to hearing it, but I'll forewarn you now, I know exactly how four-wheel drive systems work, and I know exactly how a parking brake works, / handbrake, and it will only ever lock the rear axle. You would have to have fully locking all-wheel drive with a front-locking diff and locking center shaft, the center drive shaft, or what the connecting shaft between the front drive axle and the rear drive axle. So you'd have to have everything fully locked in to experience understeer when pulling the handbrake at any moving speed. To experience understeer at any moving speed. It shouldn't happen. Because in the real world, it won't. If you can find me a real world clip of any car, absolutely any car, locking all 4 axles that doesn't have a fully locked 4-wheel drive system, because that Subaru doesn't. It is an active 4-wheel drive system, and I know that for a fact. Because I've had many friends who have owned Subarus. I've ridden in Subarus. I've been in the 2012 Subaru Impreza WRX STI. I know exactly what that car drives like. And the way you guys did it made it feel like you tuned it for the fucking Nürburgring. Again, sorry for my language, but you gotta understand the frustrations when you're building a rally car and you have a street BMW sedan that is heavier and almost most certainly should have a higher torque load than the Impreza, and it doesn't experience anything near the understeer that Impreza was experiencing. Why? I'll tell you why. It's simple. You don't know how suspension tuning works. You don't know how steering works. That's why your steering angle is always so sensitive. That's why your default steering angle is way higher than it needs to be. I don't know if this is a tilt-only problem or not, because I haven't bothered to check, but it's a tilt problem for sure, and if it varies to the other parts, then, you know, it's problems on other parts too. I'm gonna quickly grab the weight of this E60 just for reference sake. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm able to take that Subaru to the weighing station. I haven't tried. I could try, but I don't think it would let us. Okay, I was wrong. Almost 2,000 kilograms. So it's probably almost 3,000 pounds. 1,800 kilograms, that's still really heavy compared to... That's almost the equivalent of a Forester, not an Impreza. That probably is the equivalent of a Forester. Probably a modern day Forester would probably weigh in somewhere around 16 to 18, I'd imagine. I'm not going to say that's a set fact because I haven't gone and researched it. I don't like saying what I don't know. I want to be very specific on that. Oh, hey, actually, I have a Subaru Impreza. Except mine's better. I used to have the other Imprezas too, and they were nice. When they're tuned right, they're really nice. But you know what? You want to see what the suspension tuning should look like for that? Because it should look like this. You guys always seem to add toe. Do you know what that does? It jacks with your alignment so badly that you will experience either oversteer or understeer at higher speeds or sharp corners. Toe is not good. It's bad. It literally makes your alignment crooked. To have proper contact to ground, you need a straight alignment. And that is crucial when it comes to any kind of performance driving. And in fact, it's just a general rule that is better for your vehicle because your tires are making contact to the ground evenly, which is exactly what you want. That way you're not wearing one side more than the other or stressing one side more than the other. This is exactly how an Impreza should be set up. Except I have the Porsche engine in here. Because it's an option. Because why not upgrade to a higher revving flat 6? Keyword there, higher revving, rather than a lower revving V6 that's more torquey. higher RPM allows for larger variable. In this thing, I haven't even gone to Italy yet, so we'll go there. In this thing, I can shift at 8,000, I can shift at 9,000, I can shift at 7,000, I can shift at 10,000. I have a lot of room, which means on every corner that's indifferent, I have choices on where I get to go with it. I should get up to the flat spot and fix my camera. That looks flat. I wanted to go into neutral. Nope. Dip. That looks good enough. I often like to shift around 9 in this. But say I don't have the room to shift to 9, I can shift to 8. Well, actually, that wouldn't be a scenario. If you don't have the room to shift up, you have to shift down. That's how that works. So forgive me on that part. But if I don't have enough room to shift into the next gear, but I still have room before the corner closes in on me, I can rev out. Because I shift at 9, almost always. But I can shift at 7, I can shift at 8, I can shift wherever I need to. It offers variable, which is extremely beneficial. And whoever did this Italy road, massive props. This is something we've needed for a long time, which is a proper canyon-like toe. Not necessarily canyon-like, but a proper twisty togue that's not strictly tight. And a long togue is what we've needed as well. And rally, yes, we have needed rally, very much so. Very much so. I'm glad that this update is here. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I'm trying to say that you guys are doing bad. It's that there's pieces that definitely need improvement. And there are pieces that are definitely bad. Not that the whole thing is bad. Not that any one of you is specifically bad. Though you might be. I don't know you. Right? So, it's just the factor of there's things wrong that should not be wrong. Like, very clearly should not be wrong. That's how an Impreza should break. And again, controls. No, not controls. Where is it? Car. No ABS, no TCS, no ESP, no steering assistant, and no fast steering return. I don't need it. These are my graphics settings. These are my sound settings. These are my effects. In fact, I normally do custom time. I normally set this to 10%, and I think it was 4 p.m. That looked really nice. Yeah. That's why. That's exactly why. Is because that is nice. So I know I'm running this video on a little long here, but it's definitely good to give in-depth analysis of what's going on in the game and why. I don't know if I don't think anything's wrong with the physics in itself. I think the physics are fine. They are a little bit on the more arcadey side, but it makes sense. I understand that this isn't a full-on realism sim like Apex Racing is. again, props to whoever's doing the mapping. The mapping is amazing. The mapping is absolutely amazing. Like, massive props. Good job. Pat yourself on the back for that. Seriously. We haven't had anything like this in CPM ever. This was astonishing. Like, it's really good. So, whoever's doing the mapping, they definitely deserve a promotion. I will say that right now. Whoever's done the mapping for this and the updated rally, good job. To anyone and everyone involved, good job. As for whoever tuned that Subaru, I don't know where your head's at, but I know it's not in the right place. And I can't imagine how much I'd be struggling if I was driving that Subaru right now because of how poorly tuned it was. As I was about to try and show my suspension, I showed off just how much traction I have. I guess I should really look in front of me. I need a slight view of the suspension though. Yeah, it's hard to get. Nice smooth compression when brakes go. See, that's exactly what I mean. Not enough room to shift, but still room before the corner closes in, so I revved out to 10. Wow, this is an amazing map update. It really is. Absolutely phenomenal. I can't deny that this is absolutely amazing. I should have... Did I not clutch in all the way? Because I normally feel like my handbrake is more effective than that. Because it is more effective than that. I might not have clutched in fully properly. Or maybe I just didn't turn in at the correct initiation angle. And I passed out again. Stop and get a repair here so my car looks nice. Or nicer. But yeah, take notes from the tuning suspension settings you saw on this Impreza, because this is how you make realistic suspension that actually has compression and softness and smoothness and consistency, because that's what makes a performance car. It doesn't matter how much horsepower the car has if the tires can't make contact to the ground. It doesn't matter how nice the car looks if the tires can't make contact to the ground. It doesn't matter what tires the car has if the tires can't make contact to the ground. That was my fault. I'm normally more cautious on a new road, but this is a very enjoyable road to just kind of run out on, push the car's limits a little bit. Wanted to recover from that a little bit sooner than I did, but that's okay. I will wrap this up shortly whenever I get to... Well, I'll wrap it up at the top of this, if this is the end of this road. Perfect, because my wife is texting me. This is a nice little area. But, yes, that's my problems, my issues with what's going on with our CPM updates right now. Well, isn't that a nice view? It would probably be nicer if I turned up my render distance further. Yep. That is another thing I've noticed in online servers where often once there's like 5 people or more in the server, it's very common for the graphics to degrade just for performance sake naturally. I don't know how you guys have that system set up, but I see it all the time where my graphics it just changes back to low graphics mode because it has too much to load in or whatever. It would be really, really nice if we could have a larger render distance without it affecting our performance gameplay, like giving us a lag spike in the middle of a race and setting it back to low graphics. That would be really, really nice. Wonderful to whoever did the map again. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful for everyone and anyone involved. Just want to make sure there's nothing else I have to go over here. I'm not. One thing I will say. It would be nice if the RX-7 and the S15 had proper spoilers, like their proper factory spoiler, like how the S15 has the center brake light spoiler, and then the RX-7 has the R2 spoiler and the Type R spoiler. I don't know if they ever came with any other factory spoilers because I'm not too informed on the RX-7s, but that would be nice to have the proper spoiler for the RX-7 and S15. I think it would really bring these cars to life. I personally would just love to have the R2 spoiler. I could care less about the Type R spoiler, but I know for a fact there's many people out there that wish that you had given the RX-7 the Type R spoiler when you added it. The R34. Something I have to mention on the R34 that I forgot about. When I bought this R34, I bought it from the dealership. I've changed the engine out now, but when I first bought it, it had, where is it? This one. It had the C32B engine in it, which I researched this engine and I found out that this is the exact engine that is used in the NA1 NSX. So with that being said, that begs the question, why on earth are you selling the GTR from the dealership with a Honda motor, and out of all Honda motors, a V6 with VTEC? Don't get me wrong, it's an awesome engine. But why'd you put it in a Nissan GTR R34? It makes no sense. It should have the RB26, just like the R33. Another thing, just before I actually wrap this up. Superchargers. Why is there a limitation? The 2JZ, it's an inline 6, and it's roughly the same size as the RB26. It's actually just a little bit bigger. That shouldn't be worn like that. I don't know why that's on solo parts. Why is it I don't have the option to supercharge the RB26? The RB26 is literally known to be the competitor to the 2JZ. It's the Nissan-Toyota rivalry. The Supra versus the GTR. It's always been the Supra versus the GTR. Why is it that the Supra gets an option for a supercharger, but the GTR doesn't? That's not fair. That's not fair at all. You know why? Because this Mark IV, that supercharger has been on this car since the day I bought it. And I have put 2,415 kilometers on it. The durability of the 2JZ engine is very, very high. It's highly renowned for its impeccable durability. Whereas the R34 is highly renowned for its the RB26 is impeccably renowned for generating power very easily. But the RB26, even pushing way, way less, just under 400 horsepower to the tire, and 515 foot-pounds of torque. Pretty good torque load, but why is my fuel rail wearing down if it has a rating of 650? It's got the same exact rating that my fuel injectors have. Okay? How is it that my fuel rail is taking damage but my injectors aren't? They have the same rating. They should be able to handle the exact same amount of power. So there shouldn't be any wear on my fuel rail. That's the reality of it. You guys need to pay attention to what you're coding and how you're coding it, because you're making errors like this where things don't make sense. They're both 1.9 kilograms too. I don't know what's going on with your ECU. I know that some cars have upgradable ECUs and some cars don't. I don't know if that's something you're working on or what. But another thing, I have to go over this. Another thing, sorry I'm going on and on here. I want to get through all of the concerns to give as much information as possible about what should be done. And honestly, if you guys want my assistance, I'm more than happy to help. I've been playing for years. I will point out every tiny little flaw that needs to be pointed out if that's something you want from me. This, at least in as far as I've known up until this update, this is the only diesel engine you've added. My question is why? Because that's a Duramax engine, the LLY 6600. That is a Chevy Duramax engine. Except, the thing is, we don't have any Chevy in the game that would run that, except maybe the Tahoe, but I'm pretty sure they never even ran that in the Tahoe. So, why is it we have a Chevy Duramax engine, but we don't have anything to run it in realistically? I'm pleased that you guys added a 1200 category. That's actually nice. I'm just going to scroll through the whole list here just for the sake of showing that there's nothing in here that would feasibly run the Duramax engine. The only two vehicles in which might, in real world, run a Duramax engine is the Tahoe, which that's a short wheelbase Tahoe, so I would say it probably didn't. And the Cadillac Escalade, which maybe, but the last I checked, Cadillac and Chevy weren't partnered. So I'm suspecting that you guys are either planning to add a Chevy pickup that would run that diesel engine, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense to have it, because this is a Ram 2500 HD, which runs a Cummins, not a Duramax. It should be either a 14 or 24 valve Cummins. I would put the 24 valve Cummins in. That's what I would do if I were you. I'd put the 24 valve. But that's exactly what this truck is supposed to have. It's supposed to have a Cummins, not a Duramax. But as far as I've seen, I haven't looked through the engine list of the new update, so I'm going to now. As far as I've seen, the LLY 6600 Duramax engine is the only diesel that we have. And I'm correct. It is the only diesel that we have. I tune my vehicles for realism and reliability. My wear on most of my cars is minuscule. But that's not the point of what's important. What's important is that Subaru... come on. That Subaru desperately needs to be retuned. Desperately. And again, please, for the love of God, give us a way to turn off the announcer. His callouts are so terrible. Another thing that's really irritating, I run the Le Mans for my gold. I've been running the Le Mans to grind my gold, the daily Le Mans to get 1,000 gold. And I run my Mark IV Supra for that because it's Class U and it's very controllable Class U. Surprising. But yes, it is actually an extremely efficient Le Mans car. What I've noticed in Le Mans with the AI racers, you'll be doing perfectly fine, but they seem to have no care for you. They will rear end you, they will pit you, they will slam into you with no concern, they'll cut in front of you after spinning out. They will kill you at all costs with no concern about their own life or anything. They just kill you. They need to have some kind of awareness that they have a rough barrier that they try to stay within, so that if it detects a player coming along them, they give a little bit of space. You don't have to have them move out of your entire path. You just need a little bit of space. That way you can at least race with them instead of solely having to wait for a clean passing opportunity. I should be able to get alongside them on the outside of a corner and overtake on the outside line. But I can't, because if I get beside them, oftentimes you risk them understeering and plowing into you. Especially during the later half of the race, because they don't pit for new tires. And their acceleration rates don't change, their steering rates don't change, so they keep trying to run the same exact lines using the same exact steering input and the same exact throttle input, because that's what they're coded to do, but the tires can't hold out. And so they either understeer or spin out. And then sometimes they sit in the wall for a while. And then I've had them respawn back onto the track and respawn right in front of me. And then there's nothing you can do. It just spawns right in front of you in thin air. There's no way you can avoid that. It doesn't matter how good of a driver you are. There's no time. It's physically impossible. There's not enough distance for you to even turn the car. Even if you know it's coming, there's not enough space. So when you reset, you should be passive. The car that's resetting should be passive so that other vehicles can pass through it for the first 5 seconds. That's what you should do. Because even 3 seconds would be enough. Because otherwise it just causes a bunch of accidents. And then you lose the race because an AI can't drive. How is that fair? You lose the race because something spawned in front of you with absolutely no notice. How is that fair? Right? So those are the things I would highly recommend improving. And it's extremely, extremely irritating when you get taken out by another AI and then the announcer goes, "You must have wanted some dirt on your tires. Get back on the road." I'm not the one who wanted dirt on my tires. Somebody crashed into me and put me in the dirt. How is that my fault? Now I have an announcer yelling in my ear, "You must have wanted dirt on your tires. Get back on the road." Like it's my fault. That's not fair. Stop it. Give us a toggle switch. It shouldn't be forced. You shouldn't be forcing things on players. It's not right. It's simply not. So, please fix these things. These are my recommendations as to what's needing work. And I would highly recommend taking the time to look into it. If you made it this far, thank you very much for your time.